Okay, okay. I can do. Thank you.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopikanda Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Brajaganara Yashodanandana Brajaganara Yashodanandana Brajaganara Yashodanandana Brajaganara Yamunatira Manachari Yamunatira Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 If you wish, we can recite together. Narayanam Namasritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Shrimvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Hridantasto Yabhadrani Vividam Nokti Sukhitsatam Nashtapraya Shvadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttaman Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Canto 1, Chapter 14, Texts 35, 36, 1.14, 35, and 36.
Yes.
Mangalaya cha lokanam
Mangalaya cha Lokanam
Shemaya cha bhavaya cha
Shemaya cha Bhavaya cha
Asteya dukulam bodha
Asteya Dukulam Bodha
Adyananta sakapuman
Adinata Saskama
Yad bahudanda guptayam
Yadva Udanda Guptaya
Vapuryam yadavorchita
Sahuryam Yadavochita
Vedanti paramanandam
Kridanti Paramanandam
Mahapurushika iva.
Mahapurushika Iva.
It's kind of like long. No, just give it a go. Alright.
Mangalaya cha Lokanam
Mangalaya cha lokanam
Simaya cha Bhavaya cha
Shemaya cha bhavaya cha
Vyasteya Dukulam Bodha
Yasteya dukulam bodha
Adyanto Sukham Punam
Adyunanta sakapuman
Yadbahudanda Guptayam
Yadubahudanda guptayam
Supunyam Yadavan Sita
Vapuryam yadavochita
Kridanti Paramanandam
Vedanti paramanandam
Mahapaurusika Yuga
Mahapurushika iva. Mangalaya,
Mangalaya
for all good,
for all good.
Cha,
Cha,
also,
also,
Lokana,
Lokana,
of all the planets,
of all the planets.
Shemaya,
Shemaya,
for protection,
for protection.
Cha,
Cha,
and
Bhavaya,
for elevation,
for elevation.
Cha,
Cha,
also, Aste,
Aste,
is there,
is there.
Yatukula Ambudho,
Yadukula
in
Ambago,
the ocean of the Yadu dynasty,
the ocean of the dynasty.
Adya,
Madhya,
the original,
the original.
Anantasaka,
Anantasaka,
in the company of Ananta,
the company of Anta,
Balaram,
Balaram,
Man,
Uma,
supreme enjoyer,
supreme enjoyer.
Yat,
Yat,
Bahudantayam,
Bahudanta Guptayam,
being protected by his arms,
being protected by his arms,
Svapuryam,
Swapuriyam,
in his own city,
City,
Yadavaha,
Yadava,
the members of the Yadu family,
members of the Yadu family,
Architaha, as
Achitaha,
they deserve,
as they deserve,
Kridanti, are
Kridanti,
relishing,
relishing,
Paramananda,
Paramananda,
transcendental pleasure,
transcendental pleasure,
Mahapurushikaha, the
Mahapurushah,
residents of the spiritual sky,
the residents of the spiritual sky,
Eva,
Eva,
like translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki
Jai,
the original personality of Godhead, the Enjoyer, and Balaram, the primeval Lord Ananta, are staying in the ocean of the Yadu dynasty for the welfare, protection, and general progress of the entire universe. And the members of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of the Lord, are enjoying life like the residents of the spiritual sky. Purport: as we have discussed many times, the personality of Godhead, Vishnu, resides within each and every universe in two capacities, namely as the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu and the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. The Kshirodakashayi Vishnu has his own planet on the northern top of the universe, and there is a great ocean of milk where the Lord resides on the bed of the Ananta incarnation of Baladev. Thus Maharaj Yudhishthira has compared the Yadu dynasty to the ocean of milk and Sri Balaram to the Ananta where Lord Krishna resides. He has compared the citizens of Dwaraka to the liberated inhabitants of the Vaikuntha Lokas. Beyond the material sky, further we can see with our eyes and beyond the sevenfold coverings of the universe. There is the causal ocean, in which all the universes are floating like footballs. And beyond the causal ocean there is the unlimited span of spiritual sky, generally known as the effulgence of Brahma. Within this effulgence, there are innumerable spiritual planets, and they are known as the Vaikuntha planets. Each and every Vaikuntha planet is many, many times bigger than the biggest universe within the material world. And in each of them, there are innumerable inhabitants who look exactly like Lord Vishnu. These inhabitants are known as the Mahapurushikas, or persons directly engaged in the service of the Lord. They are happy in those planets and are without any kind of misery, and they live perpetually in full youthfulness, enjoying life in full bliss and knowledge, without fear of birth, death, old age, or disease, and without the influence of Kala, eternal time. Maharaj Yudhishthira has compared the inhabitants of the Dwaraka to the Mahapurushikas of Vaikuntha Loka, because they are so happy with the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, there are many references to the Vaikuntha Lokas, and they are mentioned there as Madham, or the kingdom of the Lord.
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you for joining, dear devotees. Excited to be in this assembly of you all. And online. Naveed Prabhu, Rahul Prabhu, thank you for joining. While I was studying for this verse, His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, he mainly covered 4 different topics to highlight. We'll try to get through all of them. One was the Yadu dynasty fighting us after Kurukshetra, the aftermath. 1. The second is Krishna ending his life. 3 is Dwarka being devoured by an ocean. And 4 is Arjuna. This is more, he described it more of a personal failure, him not being able to protect the queens. And because he couldn't, Krishna left, and so he's thinking maybe I'll just protect the queens today that he could not do also. These 4 will highlight and specifically in regards to distress, expectation versus reality, and then Krishna's message and presentation style in the Bhagavad Gita. How Krishna specifically and systematically presents the nature of the soul, what the body is susceptible to, and the counteraction to it. So here is Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. If you ever have attended his class in person or online, he has a very unique style of presenting the way his mind works. Because he's also composes literature.
Mhm.
He said that not only does he like to see how the knowledge is being presented, like what the knowledge, but how exactly it's presented. The way, for example, we're reading this chapter, and Yudhishthira Maharaj is very much in lamentation and fear and anxiety. But why is he that? Nothing has really been described yet. So the way Chaitanya Charan Prabhu described it, according to the audience, for example, a small child, if there's some murder or a killing that happens, they won't show all the blood and the gory details, but they just show the effect.
Mhm.
And in the same way, this is happening in the Srimad Bhagavatam right now. We don't know exactly what's going on, but we can tell by the effect, the anxiety, and so forth, that some tragedy has happened. And therefore, we'll systematically go through those as well. He related, Prabhu, that the event's not shown, but the impact, and this is specifically highlighted in Greek tragedy. There's some event, and then there's the after effect. And so the event happens, and everyone's wondering, what happened, and where did it happen? Why did it happen? All these things. But the Srimad Bhagavatam has taken us on that. Unless you already had read Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Kurukshetra, and Mahabharata, then you know, of course. But if you're coming along for the first time, you understand what's actually happening here. You don't know. And this is the style of, specifically in this portion of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, it doesn't describe, for example, Krishna's departure. And we're just wondering, oh, he's gone. But why is he gone? What exactly happened? Now, this verse specifically is Yudhishthira Maharaj and Bhima speaking right back and forth. Now, what Prabhu described is not a running commentary. It's simply, again, the after effects, but we'll try to make sense of it here. Maharaj is asking all these questions. Yudhishthira Maharaj, there's several verses where he's asking, and this verse specifically making statements. He says, Bahu Dhamda Guptayam. So he's expecting this. This is an expectation. He doesn't know, but he's guessing. They're protected by the arms of the Lord. Guptayam. And then he says, Adyaha Ananta Saka, in the company of Ananta, Human, the supreme enjoyer. Well, they're like Mahapurishika, the residents of the spiritual sky, and then they're joining what? Param and Ananda, the highest form of bliss. This is Yudhishthira Maharaj, expectation and reality. Now, we'll go to make it string together. It's a verse 214 of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna states, Dukkha, distress. It's going to be there, and the example that Chaitanya Charan Prabhu gave is just like the Himalayas. That in the Himalayas, inherent in that experience is cold. However, that's not all to be experienced. He gave the example, similarly in this world, distress is there, it's bound to happen, but it's not all that we experience. So in this way, one can overcome the negative after effects of unrealistic expectation by accepting and knowing exactly what, not the details, but the general principles of how the material world works. Krishna says very clearly, Dukada, distress will be there, and what should you do? Titikshasva. One should learn to tolerate them. Now, what the example that Prabhu gave also is that the larger the gap between expectation and reality, the farther it is away, the more one becomes negatively impelled or negatively experiences emotions in this life. Now, internal desire versus external circumstances, they're always in a clash, so to say. And this was also given by His Grace Radhe Shyam Prabhu. One desires something, and the result is something else. Does anyone have that kind of experience in life? Just Prabhu? Yeah, yeah. That's always there. And therefore there's a saying, expect the worst and hope for the best. I remember one time in asana class, someone asked this question, one Mataji, because then I try to give them a little philosophy. It's a little bit. It's mostly physical, but they can hear a little bit. He said, well, what about expectation in life? Krishna states clearly that one should work, and the success is in the work, and renounce the fruit of action. That means give up your expectation of what one may think will happen, and simply say, do your best and leave the rest to God. That one should have expectations and plans, but they should be flexible, knowing that of the 5 factors of action, I'm not the absolute. Now, even if one doesn't have that, and as a negative situation arises, as His Grace Shubh Vilas Prabhu said, if one simply practices this radical acceptance, I don't want it, but it's happened, then it can turn into a positive. If not, then they call the thinking feeling loop in psychology circles. I've thought, I have an expectation, it's unfulfilled, I either become angry or morose. Those are the 2 base emotions that generally happen when unfulfilled desires. And from there, so many other emotions can be there, like envy, jealousy, greed, revengefulness, etc. Krishna states that, and that's also further elaborated on. That this is in relation to Yudhishthira Maharaj's expectation versus what's actually happening. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-58. Does anyone know this verse by heart? Sanskrit or English?
10:14.
10:14-58.
10:14. Got it.
Samashitaye padapallavaplavam sages in you. Yeah. For those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation, and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Muda demon. The ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoof print. Their goal is Param Padam, Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step. Kunta, anxiety, vai, without. It's not that long a purport. Srila Prabhupada's words are transcendental. This translation is taken from Srila Prabhupada's commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, as it is chapter 2, text 51, which we'll get to also. According to Srila Shila Swami, this verse summarizes the knowledge presented in this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Krishna's lotus feet are described as pallava, flower buds, because they are most tender and of a pinkish hue. According to Srila Sanatana Goswami, the word Pallava also indicates that Lord Krishna's lotus feet are just like the desire trees, which can fulfill all the desires of the Lord's pure devotees. Even exalted devotees like Sri Narada, who are themselves the great shelter for the conditioned souls in this universe, personally take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Thus, it is natural that when Lord Krishna manifested himself as all the young boys and calves of Vrindavan, their parents were more attracted to them than previously. Lord Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, and, being all attractive, the ultimate object of everyone's love. The heroine branch of this found in 1014, Srimad Bhagavatam. And Lord Krishna is returning, and Maharaj Parikshit is in astonishment, saying, why do the residents, especially the women, there is so much affectionate to Krishna, even though he's not their own child? How Atmanam Akilatmanam? Because our body is dear because the soul is within, and the soul of the soul is considered Krishna. Atman, Atmanam, Akilatmanam. Akila means complete or fully. Atmanam means the soul. He's the soul of our souls. And therefore, we are dear to him and he is dear to us. Let's go to 251 in the Bhagavad Gita. Anyone want to read? Make this interactive.
By thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from the results of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries by going back to Godhead.
Thank you. And we read that first paragraph already. Anyone want to read the second one from Owen?
Owing to ignorance, one does not know that this material world is a miserable place where there are dangers at every step. Out of ignorance only, less intelligent persons try to adjust to the situation by fruitive activities, thinking that the resultant actions will make them happy. They do not know that no kind of material body anywhere within the universe can give life without miseries. The miseries of life, namely birth, death, old age, and diseases, are present everywhere within the material world. But one who understands his real constitutional position as the eternal servitor of the Lord, and thus knows the position of the personality of Godhead, engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Consequently, he becomes qualified to enter into the Vaikuntha planets, where there is neither material, miserable life, nor the influence of time and death. To know one's constitutional position means to know also the sublime position of the Lord. One who wrongly thinks that the living entity's position and the Lord's position are on the same level is to be understood to be in darkness and therefore unable to engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. He becomes a Lord himself and thus paves the way for the repetition of birth and death. But one who, understanding that his position is to serve, transfers himself to the service of the Lord, at once becomes eligible for Vaikuntha Loka. Service for the cause of the Lord is called Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, or in plain words, devotional service to the Lord.
Thank you. And we focus on this plabam. This is another verse in relation to Srimad Bhagavatam 11, 2017. The human body, which can award all benefit in life, is automatically obtained by the laws of nature. Although it is a very rare achievement, this human body can be compared to a perfectly constructed boat, having the spiritual master as the captain and the instructions of the personality of Godhead as favorable winds, impelling it on its course. Considering all these advantages, a human being who does not utilize his human life to cross the ocean of material existence must be considered the killer of his own soul. Yesterday, Vaishnav Doshani, Prabhu and I, we were in Benicia. They're extremely strong winds. We were driving over one bridge and it felt like the vehicle was going to be pulled off to the side. Now, those same winds can impel one, depending on the direction, faster in which their desired destination is going. But if it's going, wind is coming this way, and we're going this way, we'll be pulled or opposite or head on. A lot of resistance. But if one aligns with the winds, those gusts become an impetus. They become now, they call a catalyst. Catalyst means one goes faster, becomes improved. In this way, it's being described as plavam, this body, even though it's sharira avidya, it's a network of ignorance. Still, it can be used. It's saying all benefit in life, even because it's rare. Now, let's highlight the purport here. Does anyone have it? Otherwise, I'll read it. 11:20:17, please.
The human body, which is obtained after passing through many inferior forms, is created in such a way that it can award the highest perfection of life. A human being is supposed to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the bona fide spiritual master is the appropriate guide for such service. The causeless mercy of Lord Krishna is compared to favorable winds that help the boat of the body to ply smoothly on the course back home, back to Godhead. Lord Krishna gives his personal instructions in Vedic literature, speaks through the bona fide spiritual master, and encourages, warns, and protects his sincere devotee from within the devotee's heart. Such merciful guidance of the Lord moves his sincere soul quickly on the path back to Godhead. But one who cannot understand that the human body is a suitable boat for crossing the ocean of material existence will see no need to accept a captain in the form of a spiritual master, and will not at all appreciate the favorable winds of the Lord's mercy. He has no chance of achieving the goal of human life. Acting against his own self-interest, he gradually becomes the killer of his own soul.
Thank you. This ha word is used several times. Some synonyms are killer, ruiner, diminisher, murderer, annihilator. There's a verse roughly in the Bible says that what Prabhupada sometimes would quote, if a man gaineth the whole world but loseth his eternal soul, what profiteth that person? The idea is that if a materialistic mindset is one's main motivation for life, then that person is no better than a dead man walking. It's the idea. Therefore, it's recommended that one start to transcendentalize their life by offering the results to Krishna. And here it speaks in, as Srila Prabhupada writes, such merciful guidance of the Lord moves a sincere soul quickly on the path back to Godhead. But one who cannot understand that the human body is a suitable boat for crossing the ocean of material existence will see no need to accept a captain in the form of the spiritual master, and will not at all appreciate the favorable winds of the Lord's mercy. This even goes in the Abrahamic faith. I bring this up because oftentimes, just for example, yesterday, at the Harinam, one gentleman is a preacher about the Bible, and he said that he has a maestro, means a teacher. They refer to Lord Christ like that. And that his teacher has taught him that if someone wrongs him, that one should forgive them, etc., things like that. And it's all great, good information, but they speak very strongly. It's like if someone being very proud of the ABCs in life. It's very general information. He spoke probably for 10 minutes straight, and then he asked, what are you all doing here? This Harinam was actually going on. And I said, this is called the Krishna consciousness. And our philosophy is that God is so powerful that his names are non different. And it's non-sectarian sound vibration. Anyone can connect to God. And he listened, and he said, okay. He's an open-minded person. The idea is that even within this, the Abrahamic faith, the Bible and so forth, is a guru parampara is not there. They have what? A pope, and there's some requirements that said that the pope must create or show certain miracles in order to qualify to become the pope. Yeah, I guess it disqualifies us all, and at least me. This is a lack of understanding. Lack of understanding. And also as Krishna states, he's not an order supply. When you manifest some miracles here that makes you not worthy of a pope-like position and an exalted position in the temple or the mosque or the church. It's very foolish. It's a waste of time anyway. On top of that, we only get empowered because the Lord Himself, as the purport stated, moves the sincere soul quickly. Now, let's go back a little bit. This is in terms of, again, expectation of Yudhishthira Maharaj versus reality. One example that was given in the study for this was the Himalayas. The Himalayas, many that are at least, they go for spiritual or because they want to conquer the mountain. That's usually the two main motivations. And the idea is that cold is inherent. That's the expectation. And the reality is that the cold is not the only thing there. But therefore, one should make peace with that which is going to be there, part of the experience. And if one makes peace with it, then one can actually become peaceful. And they will not be unnecessarily disturbed. This is the example that Prabhu gave. Make peace with the fact that distress will always be there. And he said that distress is democratic. As he said, democratic means everyone has an equal right to happiness. Yeah, it's equal. And when he's gave the mechanics a little bit here. He sees the outer problem, and then it creates the inner distress. And then we feel troubled by a certain situation. And then he gave one example of, for example, Temple Prasadam versus a five-star restaurant. He said if one goes to Temple Prasadam at Telangana and it's not so palatable, he says, yeah, it's still offered, right? Anyways. But if one goes to a five-star restaurant and they pay this big amount, there's all this build-up, I'm going to taste this nice delicacy and it's not so good, then they become very angry, very distraught. Even my own brother also did that. Because I still attend show face in restaurants and so forth, non-veg because family. They might shun me if I don't go. But I go and they order non-veg and whatever. And my brother he's in law enforcement. He speaks very boldly because they have some power. Anyways, he told one right away server. He said, "This is not what I ordered. What you're gonna do? You're gonna take this back and you're gonna bring me what I ordered. Okay?" It's just like that. So everyone just looked around. So, do you really said like that? This is the mindset of someone who expects first class treatment, not knowing that they're serving also. There, let's go back and summarize. I'm gonna get through too much and take all the time. The way Krishna presents the Srimad Bhagavad Gita is he doesn't give his supreme position right away. He doesn't say, I'm the supreme personality of Godhead. What he first gives is preliminary information about the nature of the soul. And this is important in preaching work. You say Krishna is the supreme and you're meant to serve him. What? I'm out of here. Listen to you. At first he says, never was there a time when you and all these kings and I never existed. We always exist. So what he first implies there is that we're eternal beings. And then in the future, there will never be a time when we will not exist. We continue to exist. And then he gives in the 14, happiness and distress. Tolerate it. Learn to. And then he goes on more about the nature of the soul. It cannot be cut, cannot be withered by the wind, water, fire, etc. Helpful in preaching work and also helpful to gradually bring one to the highest truth. Now the main focus is expectation versus reality, Krishna Maharaj. And the bigger the gap between reality and our fabricated expectation, that generally the stronger the negative emotions follow that. And therefore one should make peace with that which is already inherent in this world, which is dukkha. It's distressful, and ashashtam, it's a temporary thing. So also that distress will also be temporary. As they say, this too shall pass is a famous aphorism oftentimes used. Yudhishthira is thinking that the Yadu dynasty is similar to the Mahapurushikas, the residents of the spiritual sky, that they're in a Paramananda, they're in a state of bliss, but that's not the case because of these four tragedies. Therefore, adjust the expectation based on the words of Krishna, and that will help one to accept some things more palatably. 8:15. If you all want to add anything at this point, feel free. I know you all have a lot of information regarding these things. Yeah.
Well, I was just
Oh, I had a question about Shiva. I read in the Bhagavatam that Brahma creates Shiva as anger. Then Shiva is more powerful than everything going on. It's not a different class, as you see. I don't understand.
You repeat the question.
Jesh Prabhu is asking, in terms of Shiva, Shiva gets created through the eye, between the eyebrows of Lord Brahma out of anger. But yet, Lord Shiva is more powerful than Brahma. How to reconcile that? Is that correct? I don't know.
He's in a whole other category, not Shiva. He's not Jiva Tattva. Lord loves Jiva Tattva.
Yeah.
Shiva is not, he's not Jiva. He's in a whole category. He's not Vishnu Tattva, he's not Jiva Tattva, he's in a whole other category.
Right.
So he's seen as superior to Jiva.
Yeah. If you look at Srimad Bhagavatam, this is one way. So Varahadev also came out. It's a common occurrence there. And the Lord, if we try to apply our logic, well, here you're born of me, therefore I'm superior to you. That's a materialistic mindset. And the Lord, he can do whatever he wants. Achintya. If he wants to make something powerful out of something less powerful, he can.
Like Krishna came from Devi.
The Lord came, yeah, he came from moon, right? Was the Parikshit Maharaj, when he was in the womb, Lord entered the size of the thumb too. So he's smaller than Maharaj Parikshit in the womb, but yet he's more powerful still. These are materialistic calculations that are smaller versus bigger, before versus after. The Lord is transcendental to all these things. To rupa forms, kala time, space, etc. He can do whatever he wants. Therefore, if he wants to create Lord Shiva, but yet he's still more powerful, we can do that. And also, that Lord Shiva is not the only one. There are how many Lord Rudras?
11.
There's 11.
Rudras. In the universe or in the outside?
How many total in this universe? Is it universal? Yeah, that part I don't know. But there are 11 total. Yeah. So that
Each one is separate, or is it just
yeah, they're individuals. Yeah. So again, God can do what he wants. We generally, not to say me, very limited information about this boat. That's just it's crazy Vijay Prabhu tells you, listen, It's a lot of things you don't know about God. This is one of those things you don't know. Okay. Have a nice day. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for your question. Anyone else want to add?
No, I mean, I want to give you another example. In material platform also, you see, uh, there are so many people, like Guru Shishya is there, right? In many cases, you will see that, Shishya is more powerful than Guru. Even, father and son, like whatever father did, son is, able to do more. How come that is possible?
Yeah.
Like you see that even in different coaching academy, for example, irrespective of the sports, you will see that some of the coaches will be there. They are not they did not excel in their field, but they are very good coaches. And the kind of players they're able to produce is like phenomenal.
Yeah. Lord Christ is an example. Also came from a Virgin Mary. He's more powerful than any being at that time in that area. I explained that. Can understand by rationale and logic, essentially to accept that there's a superior power that is capable of doing anything and everything whenever he wants, how he wants to. And that's what separates us. It's a reminder, we do great and honor small meant to follow. Yes,
I really like the point where you mentioned that distress is democratic. Is that everybody has an equal right? So I was remembering the verse that Narad Muni mentions in chapter 5 of first canto to Vyasdev. He says that one who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage, yet there is no danger of his being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not get anything. Well, I mean, there's another verse related to that which says that the happiness and distress comes of their own accord. One should, it's not exactly the same verse, but the verse says that one should aspire for something which is eternal, which is of eternal benefit. If we think about material happiness and distress, it comes of its own accord. Just like we do not aspire to get distress, it still comes. Similarly, the happiness also will come. One should do one's duty, and this material happiness and distress will come on its own accord. One should aspire for eternal benefit, spiritual benefit, which is permanent.
Thank you, Prabhu. Shastra reference.
I want to add one thing about distress. So I was reading, I think someone had mentioned in the class that when we see Adi-Bhautik, Adi-Vedic, and Adi-Atmic distresses, they are not actually the cause for the distress, they're just the agents to give us our own karma from previous lifetimes. So whatever distresses are coming to us, they're because of us, not because of somebody else. And
Specifically in mind.
yes. So it is they're only getting back the fruits for what we have done. So only we are to blame, not others. And for a devotee, as we see in the Tattva Compound Susumshana, the purport, Prabhupada himself actually decided. Prabhupada says that for a devotee, the karma is completed. So whatever is given to him is actually stamped and authorized by the Lord himself. So one should be happy to accept it. That even if it's a distress, they should be very pleased that the Lord personally wants me to go through this. That's why He's given me. So it's not a distress in that sense. He wants me to grow through it and not just go through it.
And it could have been worse.
It could have been worse. Yes, that's always that.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
But in this case, we always blame the Lord.
Is it?
But we always blame the Lord.
You are the cause.
Yeah. There's an often that pastime of Srila Prabhupada, who was giving a lecture at a Christian church or college, something like that. And there's one gentleman that was actually regularly attending Srila Prabhupada's lectures and so forth and seemed favorable. And for some reason, he blasphemed Srila Prabhupada personally there. And some of his disciples were asking Srila Prabhupada, why you put up with this? This gentleman's blaspheming you, so forth. And Srila Prabhupada said, I must have offended him in a past life. In this way, he understood Srila Prabhupada. The Lord wants me to deal with this. I accepted. And then, but after that, Srila Prabhupada personally went and garlanded that gentleman, gave him blessings, and then left. Similarly, Lord Christ is like that level. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. It's completely compassionate, no matter who they are or what kind of. I mean, enemy and friends are only on a materialistic platform. It's simply one is here to learn from this, as Vishal Prabhu was mentioning, from previous karma, the agents and their form. They just arrange for happiness and distress. Another way of saying it. Yeah. Anyone else want to add anything? Antakoti Vaishnavinda ki jai, Vaishnava Prabhupada ki jai.
It's Adinath Krishna Prabhu ki jai.
Jai. Thank you for the encouragement. I appreciate that. Thank you for joining online. Hare Krishna. Have a good, nice day to Guru.
Hare Krishna.